Hello everyone, and welcome back to Germanic Science. In this tutorial, we're going to explore the beautiful journey of fertilization from day 5 to day 10 in every simple step. Don't forget to stick around as I will suggest a diagram for every stage to make things super clear. So let's dive in. First thing first, we're going to take a very quick revision on our previous video, which is the process of fertilization from day 1 to day 5. While in this video, I'm just going to focus on day 5 to day 10. So this is what really happened. Fertilization begins on day 1 when sperm meets an egg, followed by cell division known as cleavage on day 2 to 3, then morula formation on day 4 and blastocyst formation on day 5. Notice that by day 5 the blastocyst is ready for implantation in the uterus. Here is another thing which you really need to remember, which is OMC, which is the oocyte, followed by the membrane, which is the zona pellucida, and outside the zona pellucida, the C simply stands for the cell, which is the corona radiata. So what really happened by the 5 days of fertilization? After fertilization and multiple cell division, the early embryo called the blastocyst entered the uterine cavity. So here we have a roughly sketch of the reproductive tract, and this is the uterine, and here we have the cavity. And this is what we call the blastocyst. So remember, we said the blastocyst formation happens in day 5. And on the blastocyst, there is what we call the ICM, which is the inner cell mass. As the name suggests, inner cell mass. And we have the trophoblast. So notice that the inner cell mass, this will give rise to the embryo. This is what will develop and give rise to the embryo. And the trophoblast, the outer layer, which will form the placenta. And notice that there is something which is going to happen inside, which is a fluid-filled cavity called the blastocyst. So, and this is what will form the inside. Remember on our previous video, which I'm going to drop the link down below in the description section, I'm going to repeat again. We talk about the OMC, which is the oocyte, which is from the inside. Here we have our oocyte, and here we have our membrane, and outside of the membrane, we have these cells. So let's try to label it. We said here we have the oocyte, right? And here we have the membrane called the zona pellucida. So what this zona pellucida does, it simply just protects the oocyte. And outside of this, we have the corona radiata. So the reason why I want you to recall this, because from day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, this zona pellucida will still be there together with the oocyte, protecting the oocyte until it reaches, because this day 5 which we just take, notice that it's just a very quick revision. So the zona pellucida have to leave the oocyte. Oocyte will continue into the circulation alone. So this is basically going to happen at this stage, between day 6 to day 5. And this is what you call the blastocyst hatches. Blastocyst hatches. From the given diagram here, if you could see it clearly, here we have the blastocyst, right? Meaning that we are done with day 5. So now we are moving day 6 to day 7, which we call this place to be BH, which is blastocyst hatches. So notice that the blastocyst now prepares to implant. It sheds its protective zona pellucida in a process called the hatching. This hatching allows the blastocyst to directly interact with the uterine lining, which is known as the endometrium. So here we have the uterine. So here, the reason why I'm doing this is just for us to have space to look at it properly. But notice that everything that is going on, starting from day one, actually happen from the vagina when we have penetration of sperm cells. And what do you call it? There is an ligament here known as the ovaries, which also play a very good role in the process of fertilization. It produces what we call an egg, which is the oocyte. We actually find it from here. So now that we have seen what really happened in day 7, remaining from day 7 to day 8, there are things that will really happen at this point. But remember, let me repeat it. For day 7, we said it's allowed it to directly interact with the endometrium. So hatching happening here, right? In the process of blastocyst hatching in the process of what? Hatching, right? So which will give it rise, or it will give it access to interact directly with the uterine lining. Uterine lining, known as the endometrium. Remember, at day 6 to 7, we have a hatch blastocyst. So the hatch blastocyst have to move into the circulation and move in between day 7 and day 8. So what will really happen to this hatch blastocyst? If you could remember previously, we talked about the trophoblast cells, right? Which we said they are outside, they protect the outside. So what they do at this point is they play a critical role here and secrete an enzyme to help the blastocyst to anchor to the endometrium. So this is the first stage of implantation. It actually happened, we can say first stage of implantation, which actually happens between day 7 and day 8. So now we are moving between, let's use another column, between day 9 and day 10. So by day 8 to 9, we're going to have the inversion of inversion of the blastocyst into the uterine wall. And notice that the trophoblast layer will differentiate into 2 parts, which is the cytotrophoblast and cytotrophoblast. Notice that this is the inner layer which remains cellular. That is the first one. And the second one is the outer layer, which becomes multinucleated and invade deeper into the endometrium. And this produces what we call the HCG, which is the human HCG, right? Which is the human chorionic gonadotropin. And notice that this is an essential hormone for maintaining the pregnancy. So what really happened at day 10? Now that we have seen what happened in between day 8 to day 9, now what really happened, the last thing which we have is to look at what happened between day 9 and day 10. A very quick revision on what happened between day 8 and day 9. We said it's simply an inversion into the uterine wall. The trophoblast layer will differentiate into 2. One starts with C and one starts with S. And we said this one actually produces one hormone, which is the HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin, which we said is an essential hormone for maintaining the pregnancy. So what really happened at day 10? At day 10, this is the completion of the implantation. The blastocyst will fully embed into the endometrium. Notice that at this stage, a small plug of cells, which we call the fibrin plug. What this fibrin plug will do it will simply seal the implantation site. So the inner cell must begin to differentiate into the epiblast and then hypoblast. That is forming a bilinear disc that will later develop in the embryo and supporting the structure. So this is it for this problem. I hope you find it very, very helpful. I need you to understand that the journey of fertilization from day 5 to day 10, each step is incredibly organized and amazing to study. I hope this explanation made the process crystal clear. If you really understand what we did here, do me a favor by just clicking on the subscribe button. Thank you and see you next time. Hello everyone and welcome back to